right, today we're going to add mixed numbers. Joaquin used 2 types of flour in a muffin recipe. How much flour did he use in all? Solve any way you choose. So let's take a look at his different types of flour. Got a lot of extra information in this problem. So all we care about is 1 1/2 whole wheat and 1 2/3 buckwheat. So yes, 1 1/2, 1 2/3. Make sure I can see that. It's so tiny. All right, so I'm going to take a look at my denominators. They are different. So I'm going to have to, and one won't go into another, so I'm going to have to rename. If I count by, boy, that's messy plus there. If I count by 2s and count by 3s, the first number I'll say is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. Remember, you can always find your renamed denominator by just multiplying the denominators. And these are both prime numbers, so that's fine. Just multiply if they're prime numbers. 2 times 3 is 6. So 1/2 is called 3 sixes. And 3 times 2 is 6, so 4 sixes is the same as 2/3. And remember, I'm adding, so I have 7 sixes. 2 and 7 sixes. 6 is improper. Jam that 6 up into the 7. It goes in one time, and you'll have one little guy left over. So when I combine my 2 and my 1 1/6, I wind up with 3 1/6 cups of flour altogether. You can also use your strips. If you wanted to use your fraction strips, you're adding 1/2 and 2/3. You can use your fraction strips. And you'll probably, if you're looking at your strips, you're going to go down to the 6s. And you can see 1/2 is 3 sixes. And 2/3 is 4 sixes. So when you add that all together, you're going to wind up with 7 sixes. All right. How can you add mixed numbers? Rhonda mixes 1 1/2 cups of sand with 2 2/3 cups of potting mixture to prepare soil for her cactus. After mixing them together, how many cups of soil does she have? So you can use addition, and you can see they've got them renaming the fractions because 3 and 2 are not the same, so they went with 6s, just like we did on the previous question. You can see the example of using your fraction strips. If you'd like to regroup and use fraction strips, you're more than welcome to do that. Don't forget, you always have to rewrite the fraction as a mixed number and in lowest terms. Okay. How is adding mixed numbers like adding fractions and whole numbers? How are they the same? You always have to have common denominators when you're adding fractions or mixed numbers. So that's what makes them very similar. And look at the example on page 414. Why is the denominator of 6 used in the equivalent fractions? We use 6 because, remember, our denominators were 2 and 3, and 6 is a multiple of 2 or 3. It's a multiple of 2 and 3. Now when we come over here for our do you know, we're renaming fractions, and they're doing some of the work for us. So when we look at the original problem, 1 7/8 and 1 1/4, we look at the 8 and the 4, they're not the same. So we're going to have to look at my second step is, does one go into the other? Yes, so we're keeping the 8 there. So that one just slides right over, And 1/4 equals 2/8, and when you add them together, 7 plus 2 is 9/8. Don't forget your whole numbers. 2 and 9/8. Remember, 9/8 is an improper fraction. 2 and 9/8 is improper. 9/8 is equal to 8/8 plus 1/8. So we're going to take that, because remember, we're going to combine it over here with our 2, so we wind up with 3 and 1/8. And for number 4, we've got a denominator of 5 and a 6. They're both different. 5 is a prime number. If you multiply 5 times 6, you get 30. So that is actually our least common multiple of 5 and 6. It's the first number you'll say when you skip count by 5s and skip count by 6s. So to rename our fraction over here, for the first part, 5 times 6 is 30, so 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 5 is 30, so 5 times 5 is 25. So when we add them together, 12 and 25, we're going to get 37 thirtieths, and our whole numbers are 7 and 37 thirtieths, which is an improper fraction. Jam that 30 into the 7. It goes in one time with 7 little guys left over. Don't forget to combine our whole number with our new mixed number. So we have 8 and 7 thirtieths. And moving down to 5, I'm definitely going to want to write this in my notebook. So I've got some room to work. Don't forget your sign. First rule, denominators are different. Second, does one go into another? Yes. 3 goes into 9, so I can just rename the one fraction. I'm adding my numerator plus my numerator. I don't ever add the denominators. And my whole number plus my whole number, and that one's done. I don't even have to reduce that one. It's just 5 and 4/9. And for number 6, go over here. For 6, I have 6 and 5/12 and 4 and 5/8. I'm adding 12 and an 8. They're different, and here's an example. If I multiply my denominators to get my new denominator, I'm going to have a big number. But if I skip count by the bigger number, so take the 12, count by 12s, and stop when you get to something that 8 will get into. So I have nice 24. Instead of doing 12 times 8 and having a huge, denominator, 3-digit denominator. So 12 times 2 is 24, 5 times 2 is 10, 8 times 3 is 24, 5 times 3 is 15. So add my numerator, pull down my denominator, add my whole number. I've got a mixed number over here. 24 goes into 25 one time, and one little guy left over, so my final answer is 11 and 1/24. Adding mixed numbers.